Sup, ladies and gentlemen, Aklon here, and of course, welcome back to each and every one of you. Dragonflight launched 2 days ago, and this is the first expansion in a really long time, and specifically the first expansion ever since I started making videos, where I did something that, is completely out of character. I successfully, and to some extent, sometimes unsuccessfully, but for the most part, successfully avoided spoilers. I went into Dragonflight when it launched, not having done a single quest within Dragonflight. I didn't have access to the beta or the alpha, so that really helped. But in the past, not having access never stopped me. I would watch every stream that I could get my hands on, usually Mr. GM, so massive shout out to him. I would watch his streams as he goes through the quest, and I would basically just learn what the game is about so that I could make videos and sort of cover all of the spoilers and all of the story and, whatever else. This time around, I wanted to see what it is like to play World of Warcraft as a fresh player. What is it like for the normal, everyday, public World of Warcraft player that don't get into the beta, or even when they do get into the beta, don't actually play the beta? How do they experience the expansion? And I have to say, it is quite incredible. For the first time ever, I don't want my chat to spoil the story for me. Whenever people sort of in my chat go, "Oh, dude, you need to see what happens next," I'm very quick. Go, no, don't say anything. Don't get me hyped. Don't ruin it for me. I want to see what happens next. So, what are my initial thoughts of Dragonflight? I think it's good. Spoiler alert, that's why I'm making this video. I really do think it is good. It solves a lot of the initial problems that I've always had with a lot of the previous expansions. And this time around, there is one major difference, because I realize many people might say, but Aklon, really, World of Warcraft has always started strong. It's what happens after that really becomes the problem. And to that I would say, no, that's not entirely true. We've always known about potential pitfalls and problems even before an expansion goes live. If you think back to Legion, if you think like Legion, we knew that the legendary acquisition system was going to be a problem. Everyone complained about it during beta already. In BFA, we knew that the Azerite system was going to be a problem. We complained about it in beta already. Shadowlands had many complaints during beta already. So we knew the problems were going to arise. And yes, the initial, launch is always exciting. It's brand new. You get to experience everything. And then all of those things that you knew was going to become a problem do become a problem. So this time around in Dragonflight, that doesn't really exist. There is nothing in Dragonflight that I'm looking at currently and I'm going, this could potentially be a massive failure on the side of the game. The only thing I can sort of finger and say that could be a problem is lack of content. So if Blizzard becomes sort of complacent and it takes much longer for patches to come out and we don't get a lot of sort of open world outdoor stuff to do, because really this is where this expansion is right now. That's the focus of this expansion. If you think about the activities that Blizzard have that is organized within World of Warcraft, you still have your PvP as you always have and your PvE as you've always had, but now you have this giant open world. And allow me to just quickly say, from an open world perspective, phenomenal. The world is gorgeous, and I would actually put it on par with designs such as Nazjatar, but with a major difference. So Nazjatar is my favorite zone in World of Warcraft from a design perspective. I loved the fact that they started playing with levels quite deeply, and it really felt like a very packed and alive zone. But it was very small and it was very compact, which meant that you didn't really get the sense of large open world that you could really experience. Dragonflight really turns that on its head. This world is vast. It is massive. And the different levels, even though it was designed for dragon riding, really, it does just have a massive impact on how it feels to exist within this world. Just absolutely gorgeous landscapes, gorgeous views, and there's even a quest, which, by the way, you can fight me on this if you want to, but there's a quest that you get quite early on. It's a side quest. You don't have to do it. It's only important for really people that care about the story. But you're in the at the Ruby Shrine, and there's this dragon that has a dwarf visage that just sits there and just looks out at this gorgeous vista. And you can sit with him and stay a while and listen as they tell you the story of the fall of the Black Dragonflight and just what an impact that had on dragonkind that you don't even think about. You don't even realize, or you realize it, but you don't think about the fact that these dragons, all of the other colors, they were friends with the Black Dragonflight. You know, those were their mates. In fact, this dwarf, let's call him, the love of his life was a black dragon. He even says it. I loved her. He remembers her. He remembers her face. He doesn't remember her name. It was impactful, to say the least. So, you know, it is just a gorgeous, gorgeous world. It is done phenomenally well. And that's really where I think my love for what this expansion can be comes from. And that is in its side content and specifically in its storytelling. So going through the story, the same as always, you know, quest design hasn't changed much in World of Warcraft. But what has changed is there's a bigger focus now on things like subtext, on things like sort of depth of storytelling. So when you are handing in stories, there's almost always accompanying voice lines to those stories. Side quests come with actual stories that tell very sort of localized stories within each zone, and it's things that's interesting. You know, you get to dragons that's busy repairing certain structures, and you know they get attacked by earth elementals and you have to help them out, and you can already see that is, while not a major story, it's definitely a story that is interesting. You get to these two scientists that is just bickering, and dude, let me tell you, the stories are funny as hell. Like, there are a couple of side quests where we were literally just lolling while we were doing it, like just laughing out of my stomach, like literally out of my belly, laughing at some of the stuff that the characters say and some of the stuff that happens. So I've had just a ton of fun with Dragonflight so far. Now, I realize many of you that's probably clicking on this video want a lot of in-depth, you know, what's the rating going to be like? What's the dungeons going to be like? You know, good news, the dungeons are still dungeons. There's still 5 people that go in, clear a bunch of mobs, and kill a bunch of bosses. The bosses are decent. I've done 2 of the raids so far, dungeons so far. They're very decent. But I don't really care about this, right? I don't really care about class design all that much. Even though I know that class design is one of the most important things, story is always going to take the lead for me there. And that's where I think Dragonflight just truly shines. But class design is brilliant. But you can see that it was done really as a foundational thing. They wanted to put the foundations in place for where they're going next. And we saw this with the Preach interview, where, you know, Helinka made it very clear. This is the foundation. Next expansion, they're going balls to the wall. So expect next expansion to just come with everything that you could possibly wish for with your talent builds. This is the start of it. And it really is what feels, this is what Dragonflight feels like in almost every regard. It's that this is the foundation. This is where we're starting now. And I want to say, and I realize this is probably going to be like ripped apart, and a lot of people are not going to agree with this. I made the prediction before Dragonflight even came out, before I even played it. I said that I believe that Dragonflight is WoW 2, just not called WoW 2. And now, after having played it, and I'm not done yet with the story, I am taking my time 100%. But after having played it, I can tell you, I feel that more strongly than ever before. The way in which they're telling the story this time around, it's deep enough to where returning players absolutely find a lot of value in how the story is being told, in how the backstories are being filled out. You know, you get to see the backstory of the Black Dragonflight, you get to see the backstory of the Red Dragonflight, and for new players, it's not so deep that it's going to sort of confuse them, but it's deep enough to where a new player that literally just played through the first zone will have a very decent understanding of who is Rathian, who is Sibelian, Who is Deathwing? Who is Alexstrasza? Who is the Major Domo? What exactly is the life pools all about? How do dragon society actually function? Because there's a massive amount of sort of onus being put on society, culture. How do dragons work together? You know, you see something from the Raid Dragonflight when it comes to their shrine, their sort of stronghold gets empowered. The second black dragon eggs are once again placed within the shrine. This is where its power comes from, and just that moment there tells you, oh, it truly is the Dragonflight of life. You know, they handle all life, including all dragon life. Just absolutely phenomenal. I'm really looking forward to the other zones. I'm only done with the first zone, and I've done every single side quest that there is in the zone, and I have had fun with all of it. Overall, I will say this, just to finish off this video, this is probably the most fun I have had in a World of Warcraft expansion launch in a really long time. And I will put it back to the days of, like, World of Draenor fun. I enjoyed Legion, don't get me wrong, I thought Legion was absolutely fantastic, but, you know, I came off of a break just after Mist of Pandaria, and you know, getting into World of Draenor, it was once again new, it felt fresh, it was just very beautiful. Of course, no one could have prepared us for what came after that, but this is just, it feels like coming home, it feels like the old World of Warcraft. Now, should you start playing it? Is it time for you to resub, buy the game, and start playing it? Maybe. Maybe not. It really depends on your feeling around the game, where you are at the moment within your own headspace, where you are in regards to Blizzard. If you don't feel ready yet, don't come back. It's absolutely fine. And it's even more fine now than it's ever been before, because guess what? There are no borrowed power systems. Nothing. Once you get into the game, you can just start playing. Once you hit max level, you can start doing dungeons and you can start raiding. You can really choose your own adventure. Nothing in this game is telling you which adventures to choose. So you're not going to be behind by that much if you wait another month or 2 months or 4, 5, 6 months or a year even, depending on how long you feel you need in order to come back to WoW. But I will say this, it is markedly different to BFA and Shadowlands. It doesn't even feel like the same game. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my 2 cents on the matter. I would love to hear from you in the comment section down below how you feel about the expansion. Have you been playing it? Have you enjoyed it? And then, of course, a massive shout out to all of the patrons that support this channel. If you want some WoW hentai and naughty stuff, you can head over to Patreon. The links are in the description down below. New pictures every month. And this month, I'm actually commissioning 2 different pictures. Hopefully you guys like it. To all of the Twitch subs and, of course, the YouTube channel members, thank you so much for your support. Your support means the world to me. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, be kind to each other, be good to each other, and I will see all of you in the next one. Peace out, fam.